Hey, how's it going? If you've ever wondered what to practice, when to practice, how to practice, I want to share with you in this lesson my own personal practice regime that I've created. It's dead simple. It only takes a few minutes, and I personally benefited from it a ton. So let's dive in, grab your guitar. My name's Will Ripley. You're tuning into Campfire Guitar Star. All right, just a couple things before we hop in. Make sure to grab that PDF. That's a free download for you guys. It'll go along with the lesson and just have all the notes and basically all the show notes that you need to go along with this lesson. So what I wanted to do is share with you my own personal practice regime. This is something that's benefited me a lot. It's really dead simple, and it's gonna help you with two main things. Number one is your physical ability. Okay, and I actually mean like physical ability, like going into the gym and grabbing a big bunch of weights and lifting them up. Well, we want to be able to do that kind of equivalent on the guitar, right? We want to get tough tips of our fingers. We want to have callus built up on each one of our fingers. We want to get kind of the muscle control, flexibility, and all that good stuff. Also with our picking hand, we want to get good control. So physical ability is a really big one on the guitar. Without it, you're not going to be able to play very complex stuff or really any kind of fancy stuff without it. And the other thing that this practice regime will help you with is rhythm, okay? So just understanding some of the basic, most important rhythms. So we're gonna talk about half notes, quarter notes, eighth notes, triplets, and 16th notes. Those top 5 rhythms, and that's it. We're not gonna like talk any kind of crazy rhythms or anything like that, but we are gonna be working with a metronome today. And so those are the two big things that you're gonna get out of this: physical ability and improving your rhythm. And I really believe that even though we're not necessarily gonna be playing a song today, we're just focusing on those two aspects, but everything on the guitar really comes down to those two things. And playing music in general is your physical ability, getting your fingertips on those strings, getting this right hand, picking the right notes at the right time, and then of course rhythm. And without those two things, you really don't got much going on. So that's what we're gonna focus in on. We're really just gonna focus in on those two areas. And just a bit of backstory on where this came from was I had kids a couple of years ago, and it really changed my life. And maybe you moms and dads out there know exactly what I'm talking about. I didn't think it was gonna change my life so much, but it did, especially my second little baby, and they're really close in age together. So I found myself dadding a lot, but as you can probably tell with this guitar in my lap and all the music gear around me and my guitar lessons and everything, like guitar is a really big, important part of my life. And it's a constant journey to get better at guitar, and it's something that I've really dedicated a huge portion of my life to. But I was really getting frustrated with my guitar progress because like at the end of the day, after a long day of work, and maybe you can relate to this, whether you're dadding or not, but like at the end of the day, you pick up the guitar and it's like, what do you practice? What do you play? How do you get better? Okay, and so I started doing these two exercises that I'm about to share with you. And it was just a way for me to, at the end of my long day, when I'm just totally zapped, to sit down, pick up the guitar, get some really good quality practice in a short amount of time. And that's where it all came from, is becoming a father. So anyways, let's hop in. The very first thing that we'll go over is I'm gonna share with you a couple of different ways that people describe this. One is the Spiderwalk. I've called it the warm-up scale in some of my guitar lesson videos. It's almost a chromatic scale, it's not quite. But anyways, it's basically just this: 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, and remember when I said that this is brain dead simple? I wasn't lying, right? So that's all we're gonna be doing. However, I think that there's something really important to say when we actually play all of the frets on the guitar. So I've particularly chosen my Strat today. It's a vintage style guitar, which doesn't have I think it's just 21 frets. Let's see, 15, 17, 19, 20, 20. Yeah, it's just 21 frets on this guitar. Some of you acoustic players are gonna get chopped off at the 14th, 15th fret. But the idea here is we're gonna do the Spiderwalk, but we're gonna zigzag up and down through it, and we're going to play every note on the fretboard, okay? And I think that's the biggest thing here, is we're gonna activate all of our fingers. We're gonna activate really good, solid technique. We're gonna get a hand planted on the bridge and connected to the guitar, and we're also going to be alternate picking throughout this. And the one thing that I want to point out is that if you go down, up, and then when you switch to the next string, you're always going to start on a downstroke, okay? And that's fine. But if you want to just switch it up, you can start on an upstroke, and that means that when you switch strings, you'll start on an upstroke. So up, down, and then you got to hop over that string and do an upstroke. So I think that there's some value in that. So, but yeah, I just want to point out the right hand here, the picking hand is just as important. You're getting a lot of value here. So with that right hand planted on the bridge, and that goes for a Fender style bridge, Gibson style bridge, acoustic bridge, getting that hand planted is just absolutely enormous and will really, really help you. So get the hand planted, get a slight finger curl around that pick so that your pick is just at a slight angle. That will really help you with your alternate picking. And yeah, like I said, either choose all downs for your starting point, so down, up, or when you get more comfortable with this, definitely integrate that up, down, okay? Just to get the practice in either direction. Otherwise, we're gonna play on the tips of our fingers nice and close to each one of these frets, so we don't wanna get any of that fret buzz sound. We wanna really focus on clear notes. And the one big thing that I wanna point out here is this practice regime is not about playing fast. This is not about speed demons, you know, and playing super fast and things like that. What it's all about is perfection and finding comfort on the instrument. And that gets back to that physical ability aspect, is just getting more comfort, getting more comfortable with this weird instrument in your lap and under your fingers. Okay, so we're gonna be playing with a metronome today, and a metronome is really, really important. And this is a beautiful way to start getting the metronome integrated into your life, because a lot of guitar players don't really know how to practice with the metronome. So all we're gonna do is we're gonna play, for each one of these clicks, we're gonna play one note at a time, okay? And we really wanna drill right on top of that metronome. We don't wanna be early, we don't wanna be late. You wanna really focus on that metronome as well as all these other things like focus, relaxation, breathing, like not tightening any weird muscles, and just being like really aware and very present with this practice, okay? So I got it set to 80 beats per minute. I can certainly play this faster. You probably can too, but again, that's not what this is about. This is not about ripping fast and tearing up the fretboard and things like that. There's a lot to be learned about playing a little slower, and we're really going for perfection in this. So here's our tempo. So go ahead and join me. We're gonna start on the very first fret, and we're gonna spider walk through. And the one thing that I haven't mentioned is that when we get to the top, you're gonna move up one fret, and then you're gonna go down. And then when you get down to the bottom of that one, you move up one fret and then up, et cetera, et cetera. So we're doing like a zigzag spider walk through this progression, and we're gonna play every single note on the fretboard that this vintage style Fender Stratocaster will allow me to anyways. 1, 2, ready, go.
All right, and get ready to shift up. All right, and all the way down this pattern, nice and slow and easy. And get ready to shift up again. There you go, and all the way up this pattern. So we're gonna keep this going. And I just wanted to just kind of coach you through this as we go through this. It's all about shutting off your brain. We don't have to think about this too much. All we have to think about is that click and our fingertips touching the strings and our pick hitting that string at the exact same time as that click. Just bring yourself into this moment. Nothing else matters right now. It's just all about guitar, this quality time, and this practice. And as you do this, let's see if you can do a big, deep breath and also find comfort in maintaining the rhythm, maintaining the good, solid technique as you breathe and as you focus on these really basic movements. Awesome, you're doing great. Stick with me. Just bring your focus towards that click and see if you can be right on top of it. Not before it, not after it. Exactly when that click clicks, you're hitting the string. And if your mind wanders, just see if you can bring it back. See if you can think about those tips of your fingers, the sensation of the guitar in your lap, that click, this really basic, straightforward technique. All right, another shift up and a zigzag down. Awesome. And the next thing that I want you to bring your focus and attention towards is just relaxation. Let's just see if there's any tension in your body anywhere that there doesn't need to be. So all we need for muscle and physical ability right now is these tiny little muscles in our wrists. So let's just check into your shoulders. Just see maybe you can drop your shoulders down a little bit while we're doing this. Maybe you're doing something funny with your leg or your neck or just some sort of part of your body that might be engaged right now that just doesn't need to be. That's it. And as we get into the higher register of the frets get closer together. And so it does become more challenging. So let's just see if you can find comfort in this higher register of the fretboard and maintain all those things that we've been talking about so far, the relaxation, just some of those basic physical sensations. And breathe. Awesome. We're almost there. Just see if you can keep it slow. Let's not rush it.
Cool, and if you're playing a Gibson, of course, you'd have even one more fret to go. Thanks for hanging with me and sticking with me through that. I salute you. I love that exercise. It's not about the actual kind of thing itself. There's so many more deep layers to that of just like clearing your mind, being present, and going for perfection, playing each one of those notes crystal clear, focusing on that rhythm, really trying to be just perfectly in time with the metronome. And I found myself also like tensing out my shoulder. I always do something like kind of weird with my right shoulder. It doesn't need to be jacked up like that, right? We can have a lot of relaxation and comfort to be found with the guitar. And it's just, that's part of the practice. So the next thing I want to hop into is rhythms. So we're going to back it down to 60 BPM, and we're going to talk about the main 5 rhythms. So we've got half notes, which are going to be like this. So if that's our tempo, 2, 3, 4, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4. So every second beat. So go ahead and join me on that. So I'm a little early. Early again. Yeah, like almost every one of those, I'm just coming in a little hair early. And if you can't tell, reel that back and see if you can catch that. I'm a little earlier each one of those times, so I'm rushing. Okay, so those are whole notes. Even though I'm just choosing that 3rd fret of the low E string and just playing each one of those, and just really focusing on the rhythm. It's not about how fast it is. In fact, sometimes when you're playing against a metronome and it's slower, it can be more challenging. The next rhythm is going to be quarter notes. And then, by the way, I'll show you guys how to practice these. We're going to cycle through them and back through them again. So 1, 2, ready, go. 1 note per click. Okay, feeling pretty good about that. And the next one is 8th notes, which means now we're going to do 2 clicks per note. So that space, 2, 3, 4, we've got this space in between, and we're going to call those the ands. So it's going to be 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, 2, 3, 4. So we still have our downstrokes on each one of the clicks, but now our upstrokes are right in between. Okay, that's feeling pretty good. The next one is triplets. So this is now, these ones get a little bit more complex. They're not so straightforward, but triplets are counted in 3s, maybe obviously. But so our downbeat is always gonna count as our 1, 2, 3, just like the other ones. So we're gonna hit that right on the click, but we've got 2 notes kind of like right in between the first click and the second click. So there's 2 ways that's really popular to count these. One is 1 triplet, 2 triplet, 3 triplet, 4 triplet, okay? Or even a more basic one is 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Let's give that a go. So that's something you can sit on, just get really comfortable with triplets. I noticed I had to settle into that one, and go ahead and catch me, roll back, and you'll see for yourself. It took me a couple beats to just get settled into that triplet pattern. And also I wanted to point out that because we're in groups of 3s, you're gonna go 1, 2, 3, and then the next set, the next click will start on an upstroke, right? Just because of the odd number. So down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, right? So it has that kind of feel to it too. And also, we'll do this in a minute, but you can also do this with a chord. You can go 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, okay? And the final top 5 rhythm I'm gonna share with you are 16th notes. So in this one, we still got the same clicks, but now we're gonna go, and we still actually have that and as well in the 8th notes. So we've got the 1 and the 2 here, but what we got going on is we've got the and in the middle, but then we've got, so there's the and, but then we also have an E and an ah. So the letter E and the letter A, that's how we kind of count them and feel them. So 1 E and a, 2 E and a. So 1 E and a, 2 E and a, 3 E and a, 4 E and a. So those are 16th notes. Super, super important rhythm to know. So here we go, 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E and a... Okay, and you can just sit on that and get comfy with that. Now what we're gonna do, and this is where things get a little tricky, is we wanna be able to quickly switch in between them. So we're gonna start from half notes, or we're gonna go to quarter notes, and to eighth notes, up to triplets, up to sixteenths. So, and why don't we'll do a package of 3, 4, we'll do 2 bars of each. So 8 beats all together. So let's start with the half notes. 3, go. 1, 2, 3, 4, and switch. Quarters. All right, switch. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and switch. And switch. Okay, now go back down to triplets. And back down to eighth notes. And down to quarters. And down to halves. All right, so those are the 2 things I wanted to share with you here today. Those are 2 very powerful things that you can just quickly do. Play every single note on the fretboard with a metronome, focusing on all those aspects. It's not about playing fast, it's about warming up and either starting your practice regime or just doing this and ending, right? Like that's kind of the idea here is like, sometimes I'd be so tired at the end of my days. As long as I would do these 2 things, I just knew that I was gaining more physical ability and I was working on my rhythms, which are just so important. So my challenge for you is to integrate this into your own practice and play every single note on the fretboard with a metronome and then switch to practice the top 5 rhythms, the half notes, quarter notes, eighth notes, triplets, and 16th notes, and then actually go in that sequence. Go through the 5 and then go down the 5. So thanks for tuning in. We'll catch you in the next lesson. And until then, keep on ripping it up.